Hello, welcome to the Pun Show. I hope. I don't know what's going on right now on the screen. I don't know if I'm in the vertical feed or the horizontal feed or neither feed or don't feed on me. All right, let me just check real quick here and see what I have happening. Sorry for all the confusion today and yesterday. Trying to figure out how to do this without StreamYard, and I am not having much success. Now I'm just, well, without StreamYard, and now I don't seem to have the vertical feed at all. Now I'm just, oh, goodness gracious. It looks like I'm supposed to have a vertical feed, but I don't have one. Without the vertical feed, I don't have anybody watching. Oh, I've got 3 concurrent viewers. Maybe I do have a vertical feed and I just don't know it. Anyway, I'm just going to talk and we'll see if we get some comments. If you are watching, please let me know just so I know that I'm not alone in this world. The vertical feed gets all the views, but anyway, it's supposed to be doing it concurrently, and I only see one of them on my computer. So we'll see how this works out. Is anybody there? Anybody? Viewer? Oh, I don't even have, I'm not signed into the chat. Ah, goodness gracious. All right. So somebody could be chatting to me and I just don't know it. And all right. There we go. All right. Sorry for all the confusion. All right, we're almost there. So at least we're signed into the chat now. I don't know if anybody's watching, because as far as I can tell, I'm only, yeah, I've got 5 concurrent viewers. I don't know where you guys are. If anybody wants to say anything, go ahead. Anyway, so I'll just ramble for a little bit and see if anybody pays attention to me. Mike Johnson and the Republicans gave Donald Trump a special award for the America First Award yesterday. Whatever that's supposed to mean. Do you think Donald Trump is... It's funny because now he's gotten like 2 made-up awards. He's got his America First Award to go with his FIFA Peace Prize. And I just wonder if it does any good to keep giving him these fake awards. I don't know what's going on. I think I might not do a show today. I don't know why I had a vertical yesterday and I can't get a vertical today. I'm a little sad. It looks like I'm supposed to have a vertical, but I don't. Anyway. There's supposedly a chat rate. There was, well, no, there was no chat. There's been 4 viewers. I don't know what's going on. Can it, if you're watching and you're in the vertical feed, can you tell me that you're in the vertical feed? Just so I know somebody is. Oh, somebody said Polymarket. Are you in the vertical feed or the horizontal feed? I just want to know if the... Hey, friend zone. All right. So we got traction. We got something going on here. I think I accidentally did what I wanted to do yesterday, which is create both at the same time. So, are you on your phone or on a laptop, friend? Okay, and we got vertical. All right, dude. We've got both feeds going on at the same time. So we've got, all right. So let me see something here. Boy, I'm about to be happy if this is what I think it is. All right, let me see something. So that's the vertical. All right, well, whatever. I thought. Okay, hang on. Oh. Yeah. All right. Oh, this is awesome, dudes. This is awesome. This is what I've wanted. This is what everybody has always wanted. We are in the zone now. We've got one chat on both channels. So no more of this having to go back and forth and all that kind of weirdo nonsense. Yes. All right. That is super duper Humpty Dumpty. So now tomorrow, hopefully, I can also get Twitter back in. So that is cool. All right. I can't wait to tell Kitty about this. Because this has been a thing she's wanted. How can two Republicans be leading the governor polling in California? I have no idea what you're talking about. Republican candidates lead governor's race poll funded by California Democratic Party. New poll paid for by the California Democratic Party shows two Republicans lead the pack in the race for the state's next governor. Let's see, so what's going on here? Okay, so the new poll released Tuesday morning showed Republican Steve Hilton leading overall with 16%, followed by Republican Chet Bianco at 14%. Eric Swalwell, former Congressman Katie Porter, and billionaire climate activists were basically in a dead heat at 10%. Democratic former U.S. Secretary Health and Human. You had a bunch more. Okay, so what it is just there's a very, very crowded field right now. This is not like voting results or something. So I think I don't think that's much of anything to be concerned about. What happened here? Boy, okay. Okay, so how do I? Oh my goodness. Why is everything so confusing? Okay, hang on. I gotta docs. Chat. Okay. All right now. Why are you? Why? Boy, oh boy. I have got this weird thing going on right now with my chat screen. There we go. Sorry, guys. There. Okay. I don't know what's going on. I guess they waking up over there. No. It's dirty. It's nothing like that. It seems like it's more just there's just okay, there we go. So yeah, it's mostly just that there's more Democrats running than Republicans. So stupid thing. This is very, very annoying. I'm sorry, guys. You have no idea what I'm talking about, but I've got this annoying, stupid thing here. And I'm trying to figure out how to make it not be annoying and stupid. All right. All right, so... All right, let's try. I'll check my phone. Okay, blah, blah, blah. You've never lived here. I actually have lived there. Oh, Dirty says Cali turned red. California, 30% of the vote does not mean it turned red. I guess they waking up. Yeah. You've never lived here. Like, a Democrat won the most districts in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. That doesn't mean that it's going to become a Democratic district. It just means that he got the most votes out of, because the Republicans were split. By the time it when is the Republican primary? Or is the... So June 2nd. It's not until June 2nd. So before then, it'll be down to 1 or 2 Democrats. Once they start dropping out that 30%, that 16 to 14%, that's not going to be a thing. Don't get too juiced up. I'm not worried about it. I'm down $30,000 in the stock market today. Thanks, Donnie. Wow, at least you have $30,000 to be down there, Mr. Friendzone. Wow. I mean, it sucks that you lost $30,000, but it's kind of cool you have $30,000 to lose. Hopefully it's not like your entire $30,000. So, are that 8 Democrats and 2 Republicans? Yeah, that's all it is. Wouldn't give you time... Wouldn't afford it anyway. Dirty doesn't really seem to engage in honest logic. I was talking to this person in the chat that's railing on about turning red. Not the host. Yeah, that's Dirt Chat. So, let me... I don't know why this thing is... What happened to you? You're okay. Ah, there. Okay. I think I might be getting there. All right. There. Now if we can just do this. All right. I was talking to this. Okay. You don't know the first damn thing about me. I've been living here since 1973. On and off when I started grade school. I've worked here my entire adult life and paid for college here. Oh, college educated ain't a flex, says the guy that's obviously not very educated. You always have to appreciate people who brag about how stupid they are. Did you hear Donald Trump today? He was saying that he was insulting Barack Obama's intelligence. I mean, part of, I think, what's become a problem in this world is that, especially in America, is that reality has just completely taken a vacation from everything. It's, up is down, down is up, hot is cold, cold is hot. The economy is great when it's terrible, and it's terrible when it's great, and it all just depends on what the Republicans want to say. That's their whole reality is based on their talking points. They don't base their talking points on reality. They base their reality on their talking points. The biggest thing that we have to fear, there's nothing to fear. except for trans women using the bathroom. You know, and that kind of nonsense. It's just, how do you even talk to somebody like that? How do you have a reasonable discourse with somebody that thinks, you know, trans women using the bathrooms is somehow going to, you know, be an issue? Like, I truly don't understand how that's an issue. I mean, you've got stalls. It's not even like you've got urinals. You got stalls with toilet seats. What, are you worried about X-ray vision or something? And it's, you know, the whole, this is just, they're so weird in the things they worry about, and then they're so oblivious to the things they don't worry about. Like, somehow tariffs making the prices go up, all of a sudden to some of them inflation doesn't matter anymore. Or jobs. I was noticing today that they were saying that the number of new unemployment claims is not going up or something. And so you would think that's a good thing, right? But then you start looking into things, and did you know that right now the gig economy, that we've been steadily going up, and this is not a thing that started under Trump. So, but there has been a steady rise in the gig economy. Like 30 to 40% of Americans now, they make their money off of gig work. It started off that gig work was side work. It was side hustles, right? You had your real job, and then you drove Uber for a couple of hours. You didn't do Google for a job. You did Google to help make your car payment. Now it's people's jobs. And here's the thing. If for some reason, like, you get in a car accident or something, you can't do Google anymore, and you lose your job, you can't get unemployment. You know, if you haven't had an employer, if you're self-employed, you don't qualify for unemployment. And then if you do qualify for unemployment, it's only for so long before, you know, you can't do it. So there's a lot of people that then they end up getting into gig work. And like in Texas, I don't know about whatever state everybody else is in, but in Texas, if you get, you know, like you've got your amount of money for unemployment for like 6 months, right? And then it's based on how much money you paid into it, but it's capped. You get like up to 60% of what you were making up to a certain point. And then, so then after you're that point, it doesn't matter. If you were making, you know, like $10,000 a month, you don't get $6,000 a month in unemployment. I think it's like $3,000 is the cap. Not even that, really. Maybe not even that. But the total amount of money that you can get from unemployment doesn't change. But you can extend the length of your unemployment by getting gig work. But once that's gone, that's gone. And so all of that doesn't really show up on unemployment because those people just aren't getting it. Doesn't mean they got jobs just because they're not on unemployment anymore. It just means that their unemployment ran out. And so now they're doing gig work, and they'll, you know, they're not qualifying for unemployment. They're not getting health insurance. They're not getting any of those benefits. And yeah, that kind of sucks. It kind of sucks if you're in that boat. And it's gotten worse. It's not that it started under Trump, but it's gotten worse under Trump. And it's gotten worse because of AI also. I was reading some reports that college grads now like 30%, if I remember right. They're expected to have a 30% unemployment rate for new college grads, and they've got those big loans they need to pay on. You've got inflation going up. USPS is getting ready to stack on an 8% surcharge to packages because the price of gas is going up so much. Price of gas has gone up like 35% or something in the last month since the war started. It went down a little bit today. It went down like half a cent, but it'll go back up tomorrow because Donald Trump changed his whole tune on oil again. And it doesn't look like we're going. I mean, we were so close. Everybody was, oh, we're going to have peace in the Middle East. And I'm like, no, we're not going to have peace in the Middle East. It was pretty obvious. If only one side really says you're negotiating, you're not really negotiating. It's like if you walk into a room and Bob and Sally are sitting there, and then Bob says, we're in love, and Sally rolls her eyes, and she's like, no, we're not. Then they're not in love. He's in love with her, but she's not in love with him. Right? So, all right, let's look at some of these comments. It looks like Freddie and Dirty are going back and forth at each other. No one cares what people that shoot from the hip with their machinations think. I don't think he knows what machinations means. Dirty, our friend, I don't think Dirty knows what machinations means. That's a 4-syllable word. That's asking for a lot from MAGA. Only 4 word they know is America. And they have to shorten it to Murica. California has more registered Republicans than Texans. California just has a bigger population. They have a very, very big population. I think people forget how big California is, how important California is to our economy. Our economy depends more on California than any other state, and it's not even close. It gets better. I own my home in a gated community surrounded by war veterans and retired cops. I was smart enough to wait until 2014 to buy a house, not in 2006. I'm here to break your heart, Dirty Money. I'm black, too. I lost $30,000 in the stock market, and I can still afford to pay off my house tomorrow. Uh-oh. Dirty's so upset. But you vote to defund police. Now you're happy to live by a few. Interesting. Always got to come up like how do you know he voted to defund the police, Dirty? How do you know that? And what does that even mean? Like, this is why do MAGAs always, like, rather than defend their positions, they have to attack your positions before they even know what they are. Like, I'll criticize the war in Iran, and people will be like, what about Obama in Libya? And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, that was bad too. Like, Republicans are like, if I'm inconsistent, it's okay. But if you're inconsistent with my inconsistency, then that's not okay. I retired at 57 last year. Oh, we're the same age, friendzone. I'm 58. So if you retired 57 last year, then you're also 58. Are you class of 85, friendzone? I don't drive drunk with illegal firearms, so I'm good at it. And so do you drive drunk without illegal firearms? Do you drive drunk with legal firearms? It's just some sort of interesting qualifications there. Do you normally carry around illegal firearms, but you just don't carry them around when you're driving drunk? Again, you're broadcasting your machinations. The Bible says you're living in the valley of the shadow of death. Oh, you meant crude, not crud. I've never worried about gas prices. Okay, millionaire. I haven't been to I can one up you on this one, Friendzone. Friendzone says Dirty Money. I've been to the gas station 3 times this year. Retirement is beautiful. I haven't been to the gas station at all this year. Electric cars are beautiful. You can rely on the government. Oh, hey, Winter. How's it going today? Dirty Money. You rely on the government. I rely on God, who controls the government. I'm sovereign. You trust people, and they are a problem, especially the elite. Friend Zone says, the Bible says, render unto Caesar what Lord. So here's the thing about that. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's thing. If you really, like, if you go and you look at that, it was actually a really interesting, it's more interesting than just what he said. And I want to say it was the Sadducees that came up to him. And they were sort of like the MAGAs of their day in a pretty liberal sense. They were anti-tax. And they were like, make Israel great again. That was, you know, they did not like that Rome was there, you know, dominating Israel and politics and everything. And so they had a very anti-tax philosophy. They didn't want to pay taxes. And so they came to ask Jesus what he thought about it, because they, you know, look, we'll either put him in his place or we'll use what he said for us. You know, they're like doing that sort of thing. And so they go to Jesus, and he doesn't answer their question directly. They come to him, do we pay taxes? And he says, show me a coin. That's really important. He says, show me a coin. And then the guy pulls out his coin, and Jesus says, whose picture is on the coin? And the guy says, Caesar's. And so then Jesus says, render to Caesar what is Caesar's. Now, the reason that he had him pull out the coin, and this is really important, is that the guy that was asking him, this anti-Rome Sadducee that was asking him the question about paying taxes, had a Roman coin on him. So Jesus was calling him out. He was saying, look, you're ready to go spend that Roman money, but you're not willing to pay Rome the taxes. Like, if you're going to spend the money, you pulled that coin out of your pocket. I don't have any. I'm not the one running around spending Roman money. You are. So that was his thing. If you're going to be like using the government services and you're going to be, you know, taking advantage of those things, then you best be paying the government taxes. I think that was pretty smart thing. I think that, and I agree with that. You want to sit there and you want to back the Iran war and talk about how important it was, how we were going to be like blown up into nuclear clouds? If Donald Trump hadn't been so heroic and acted to save all of our lives and save the free world, as Mike Johnson would have you believe, well, then shut up and stop complaining about having to pay taxes. Because those taxes paid to kill those schoolgirls. And if you want to complain about taxes feeding our children, then you can't. Because you're so happy about our taxes paying to kill their children. Or you can go out and vote. But just the idea of just opposing taxes in general, he really put them in their place. Anyway. So, Friends on Winterland, stop your YouTube app and come back. It's working fine on my computer and my phone. Sound and video don't fit, or is it just me? Is California a surplus state? Let me know if anybody else is having troubles with the audio and video syncing. I'm going to I'm going to be using a different computer tomorrow that hopefully that will solve any issues like that. Is California a surplus state? Not right now. It has been before, but that's not really like it's like asking. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant as to whether or not California is a surplus state. Uh, I know a few Republicans are not happy with Trump. They claim to not be voting anymore. And Trump will tell them that they're not Republicans anymore. But, you know, then the real Nazis were the first ones that Hitler went after. The ones that were actually socialists were the first ones that Hitler came for. That's why the poem starts. The original poem started first. They came for the socialists. Elon appreciates your patriotism. I don't know what that means. California tax revenue is saving the South. It's the seventh largest economy in the world. Nothing like people that complain about that being helped. Yeah, because I think what Dirty is conflating here is California's state taxes and California's federal taxes. California pays more money in federal taxes than it receives in federal revenue. And overall, blue states pay more than they get, and red states get more than they pay. Dirty money. California being a surplus state, what did that even mean? Is it a surplus state? Like, are you talking about the internal state revenue, whether or not that's at a surplus? Or are you talking about anyway. In the words of Bill Murray, it's hard to win an argument with a smart person, but it's damn near impossible to win an argument with a stupid person. It's nearly impossible to expound fully with 200 characters. No problem. I used to work in the video game industry before working in IT for the police. Oh, cool. Did you work on any cool games? Oh. Hey, what's up, BC? MAGA got played. Iceman says it appears that Cali Boy doesn't want to answer your bad faith question. I mean, he doesn't say bad question, but the question is in bad faith. It's like it's not relevant to what Freddie is talking about. Freddie is talking about federal spending, like federal taxes. All right, so whether it doesn't matter if they're a surplus state or why they're in a deficit, why they have a deficit right now. And I 100% assure you that Dirty does not know nor care what the issue is with why California has a deficit right now. I'm not allowed to discuss any of the games I worked on. The creator of Madden Football offered me a job, but I was busy working for free in the church while working full-time in IT. Wow. Boy, that could have been fun. I mean, I don't know about pay or anything. I imagine it probably would have paid pretty well. But I think it certainly would have been fun. I know what you mean. Like when I worked at Google writing the Help Center articles, and people are like, "Do you have samples?" And I'm like, "No, because I can't tell you anything I worked on." All right. Okay. So let me. Wow. Yeah, interesting. Not a lot of. Huh. So what's going on today? All right. So Trump doesn't know if we're going to make a deal with Iran now. We're just, hey Gary, how you doing? What do you think? Is Donald Trump the greatest president ever, Gary? I'm just looking. Trump says he doesn't know if we're going to make a deal with Iran. Since he said that, what's the price of oil up to now? As soon as, like, after he said that, the price of oil started going back up. 94.12. So it's gone up, I think, about $4 since he said that. It was around, it's getting down close to $89. Now it's 94. So at least $4 probably. Well, I'm sorry, 367. It's up 367 now. So do you think, what is it going to take? Anybody got any thoughts on that? What is it going to take for the war to end? Because Donald Trump really hasn't specified exactly what he wants to do, other than in like vague terms, like absolute surrender, decimate, like all like these sort of tough guy words and phrasings and stuff, but nothing like that's really cogent. The greatest president, I think, was probably George Washington. I think he's up there. I think Lincoln's up there. FDR, like the typicals. I actually think probably recent presidents, I'd probably have Biden the highest, or Obama the highest, at least in like my lifetime. Unless I count LBJ, who was president until I was like 2. And even then, LBJ did some pretty good things. The thing is it's like with if you're actually being honest in ranking presidents, they all had stuff that was wrong with them too. Like I wasn't happy with Obama bombing Libya and extending the war powers. I think he should have done more to stop that. But I think he did some really good things in terms of rescuing the economy. I think, oddly, I think he could have probably done more with racial awareness and stuff too. But after he like had the audacity to believe that one black guy might be breaking into his own house or something, then that kind of like anytime he would have, like just believing a black person after that. FDR doesn't get much conversation about this, but FDR was like deeply racist, and there were some things like one of the really good things that FDR did was also one of the really bad things FDR did, which was after the soldiers came back from World War II to help things out. He did things like give veterans these housing loans and stuff like that, so that they could buy homes, and that gave that whole generation wealth from being able to pay off their homes. And it was kind of like a real big reason that the economy grew for the next 50 years. But that was only available to white people. It didn't make it available to black people, which was like insanely racist and perfectly normal for the time. Don't study history if you want to like keep your heroes, because you'll find out that something's wrong with everybody. And that's my issue. That's one of my issues with the Trump devotees, and like making up these awards to give him and calling him the greatest president ever and stuff like that, is that there's no real conversation about Trump. Like, it's not even about like what did he do that's great? What has he done to make America great? What is the thing that he has actually accomplished that makes America great? And then did he actually accomplish it? Like, you can't have a real honest conversation about that. They'll say he closed the border. Well, okay, did that make America great? What does close the border mean? What does open the border mean? Like, we can't talk about things in reasonable, intelligent, honest terms. Like, I just hate the terms open and closed borders. Because there was always border patrol there. When people were coming through, they still had to show their passports and their visas. And some of them got turned around and sent back. And some of them requested asylum. And there were some that did sneak over the border. But all of that are different things. Like, there was no open border. Like, none of that is open borders. Even the ones that sneak across the border, they have to sneak because the borders aren't open. Even your gotaways are proof the border wasn't open because they're classified as gotaways. If they would have just been considered crossings. Which, by the way, the founding fathers had open borders. No, nobody likes to talk about that. Dirty says, it's sad I have to describe to you what a state... No, you don't have to describe it to us, Dirty. We perfectly understand what it means, but what you you apparently don't understand what it doesn't mean. It does not mean anything at all to do with how much Californians pay in federal taxes and how much money the state of California gets back in federal taxes. My parents really like Eisenhower. Eisenhower did some good things. The interstate system was pretty amazing. I mean, he did some really good things. I think, and he was kind of from an era before Republicans were Republicans and Democrats were Democrats. There was still, the people like to say they swapped, but they didn't really swap except on certain things. I like Teddy Roosevelt because unlike Trump, when he left the elite, he went to the frontier west and was knocking people out. He also led the cavalry. I lived in North Dakota friend zone from when I was in my, like junior high years. And there's the Badlands in North Dakota, not South Dakota Black Hills, but in Medora, that's the name of the place. The Badlands. There's an old cabin that Teddy Roosevelt used to have that I went there. It was just cool. I saw his little writing desk, everything. It was pretty cool. It's pretty well preserved. But yeah, he was a rustic dude. I can't imagine Donald Trump living in a cabin, in a wooden cabin. Lewis Henry Gates, this is the Ivy League historian TV personality who had Karen call the police on him in the middle of the day. Yes, that's the guy. That's the guy. Because he came home drunk from a trip or something, and he was fumbling around with his keys. Iran has to drop its weapons, turn over their abundance of enriched uranium, and allow independent inspectors with zero restrictions. Okay, yeah, I don't know what all of that... That's just a lot of words that don't say anything. That's so they are not agreeing to do that, Dirty. They're not agreeing to that. So that's why now Donald Trump is saying that they don't think there's peace. And it's there's anyway, you're not worth talking to because you're not an honest person. Come back when you want to be honest about things. That's the same reason I would never tell my neighbors that they have left their headlights on. I'm not trying to get... Yeah, my brother lives in Minneapolis. Well, he lived in Minneapolis. He moved now. But he lived in a certain part of Minneapolis. And he had these like really, really rude neighbors that would like play their music really loud all night. And I was like, why don't you just call the cops and have them come, tell them to come down and or have them come and tell them to turn down the music? And he's like, well, they're black. I want to get sleep. I don't want to get them killed. And I'm just like, oh man, that's sad. Teddy Roosevelt led, whose presidents are all just human and all just men. They are. Those presidents. Teddy Roosevelt led projects that are still important today, like helping today's MAGA avoid low-grade slavery. But Teddy Roosevelt also had some really, really nasty crap going on with South America. What happened is during the we had run out of West, so to speak, with Manifest Destiny. We just ran out of land. So then Teddy Roosevelt started looking to the South, and that's when you started coming up with things like the Roosevelt Doctrine, and then a lot of things that happened going forward in South America, with America basically usurping South American autonomy, all stem from the Roosevelt Doctrine, or the Roosevelt corollary to the Monroe Doctrine, I think it's called. Those presidents did have to deal with likes of BLM or woke cowards, whatever that means. The border has always been a problem, but not as much as it has been the last 6 years. How has it been a problem the last 6 years? What is the problem at the border, honestly? Like, if we want to talk about the border, I fully agree we have immigration issues. But what are they? I think that we have we talk about the border stuff in a stupid way. A huge percentage of those people crossing the border work on farms for slave wages, thus keeping your food prices down. Nobody can come back from the World War II itching to do farm work again. Well, they do work for a few dollars an hour less, but it's not like that. It's not slave wages. I wouldn't say it's slave wages. It's like $13 an hour instead of $16 an hour, depending on what they're doing, but roughly around that. But our entire history as a country, I call them the low-rung workers, where a big part of our country was developed by low-rung workers coming from other countries, whether it was Germany or Ireland or Eastern Europe or England or Mexico, China. The railroads were built by different groups of immigrants. There were the Irish and the Chinese and freed black slaves. There were a whole bunch of them. So what's happened in the last 40 years is we don't really have a legal way for bottom rung workers to come over unless they have like relatives or something like that are already here. And as a result, that's been a big impact to the American dream. Like, people don't understand that people coming and taking those bottom rung jobs actually creates jobs for other people. Huge percentage. Okay. Joe was flying them on luxury jets. Joe is not flying them on luxury jets. Okay. Joe is not flying them in on luxury jets. Dirty, if you want to be honest, okay? Can we just agree to be honest and fact-based? What happened is people were saying, let them get, they were yelling about, oh, they're coming over unvetted and they're coming over, why can't they do it the right way? So Joe Biden created a program where from their own country, they could fill out a form on their phone and get like pre-approved to come over. Then once they got pre-approved to come over, they bought their own ticket. They bought their own ticket, Dirty. They weren't flown in on luxury jets like Ted Cruz would have you believe. They did not get government paying them to come over here. They came over here on their own dime. And then they worked with, they had to have a sponsor so that they weren't living on the government dole the way that you think. And there were not millions of them. I think TPS, I think about 500,000 of them came over. And they came over legally. They came over here 100% legally. They were seeking asylum. Black Lives Matter will forever be contextual in this country. Or Black lives will forever be contextual in this country. I wish you could find that out the hard way. Did you donate for the sea? Imagine being a Trump supporter and then worrying about corruption from somebody else. I render unto Caesar what is Caesar's and unto the Lord what is the Lord's. You want to be the arbiter of what's going right or wrong. Donald Trump sold a pardon to a drug kingpin, Dirty. Actually, he didn't just get lectured on that. Dirty, you got lectured on that. I was lecturing you, not friend. Time will end wars, Isaiah 11:6. The wolf will dwell with the lamb, and the leopard will lie down with the young goat, the calf and the young lion, and the fatted steer together. A little child will lead them. The Chinese were fundamental to fishing the Donner Pass. They were rarely sick due to their diet, while the white workers were... Plus, they got all drunk all the time. Have you seen? There's a TV show that was out a few years ago. It's really good. Hell on Wheels. If you've never gotten a chance to watch that, there's some. I mean, it's fiction, but it's about people that were building the railroad, and so there's a lot of historical context to it, and the history in it is pretty accurate. So if you haven't seen that, I think it's available on Peacock. I'll defer to Doug Stanhope on the matter of illegal immigration. If you are worried about someone that doesn't speak English taking your job, you're a failure beyond belief. Yeah. You must not be very good at your job, or it must not require speaking English. In which case, why would you be worried about it? Yeah, but there is a very small percentage of jobs that are influenced by undocumented workers. There is where they drag down the prices. But even with that, that's part of the reason that we should have reform. Because if you have reform, that can be part of the reform. Because you can't, like once there's a way to hire them legally and pay for them legally, then that, how do I put this? If you have to pay for them, if they have protection, then, my brain, where did I put it? If you have to pay for them, then, boy. If you have to pay them the same, then you're not paying domestic workers less. Why did they fly them in during the middle of the night when no one was around then? They didn't, Gary. They just flew in on their own planes. Like, this is all such a weird thing. Like, these things are actually Googleable. I mean, this is not like some mystery where you have to go and research it and stuff. They're like on fact checks and stuff. They paid for their own tickets, Gary. Like, the whole idea that they were flown in the dark of night in the secret or something, like, all of that is just embellishment. Ted Cruz jumped on a luxury jet to avoid a disaster. Somehow, Texas can't afford the great wind turbines the Germans use in the North Sea, but they can't afford multi-million-dollar high school stadiums. Texas, I think, has more clean energy than any state in the country, including California. It's surprising. I don't know about I don't know what you're talking about with the wind turbines. Is this a new thing? Are they getting ready to get rid of the wind turbines? I know that Donald Trump wants to stop using wind turbines that are already in use. Illegal border crossings only became a problem when the hippies upgraded to getting high on cocaine between the 40s and the late 70s. You're just choosing now to complain about it. Yeah. You saw what with your own eyes? What did you see with your own eyes, Gary? What did you see? You saw a plane land? What did you go up and interview the pilot and all the passengers and ask them what they were doing here? What were you doing on the flight line that you saw this with your own eyes? What did you see actually? What did you actually see, Gary? Did you see a YouTube video with somebody explaining stuff to you? Is it possible the person that was explaining it to you was intentionally misleading you about what was going on? What did you see at the airport? What did you see? Tell me what you saw, Gary. Tell me exactly what you saw and how you knew that it was Joe Biden sneaking in illegals in the dark of the night on the government dime. Because you are the only person, apparently, that has first-person evidence of that. Okay, but moving on. No, I saw this thing that I just completely made up. It's like when I had a friend tell me that she saw illegal Mexicans voting in Nevada. And I was like, how do you know they were illegal? Did you go up to them and ask them, are you here legally or not? You're using eyeball data to confirm your bias. That's scientific. You sound like the guy on Bonanza that wants to blame the Cartwright family for everything. I think, I don't know how many people are watching Bonanza these days, Friend Zone. That seems a little bit of a dated analogy. I don't even know who that is. I've never even watched Bonanza. You won't believe me anyway, so why bother? I won't believe you because it never happened, Gary. I mean, you might have seen something. I'm not doubting you saw something. I'm doubting what you think you saw was what you are, what you actually believe. And it's worth moving on because I think it's worth knowing. It's worth knowing that these people were not smuggled in by Joe Biden. This vote for Kamala Harris or something. No, I did not interview the passengers to see their own money paying for their own tickets too, but I know what the program is. I know what actually happened there. There are actual receipts, literal receipts. I'm not calling you a liar, Gary. I'm calling you I'm accusing you of not understanding what you saw. You saw an airplane. What did you see? What did you actually see? There was always some a-hole on Bonanza that was poor that wanted to blame the Cartwrights for everything. I don't care if you believe me or not. That's not the issue, and I'm not calling you a liar. I'm calling you mistaken. Okay. So here, I don't know if this will show up or not, but so you know what I am saying, here's here. I'm going to try this. So I just sent you a link, Gary. It's not about what you believe or what I believe. What matters is what is real. All right, so I'm just going to... So sorry if you're getting buffering. I'm switching to a different computer tomorrow to... So I just dropped that link in. Now I'm just going to go and I'm going to read some of what that link says to you. I don't know how to share my screen on this, so... Biden isn't flying migrants to Florida. People pay for their own flights legally into the... so a federal humanitarian program, so it's actually only 30,000 people monthly from Cuba. So it was 161,000 beneficiaries. A federal humanitarian parole program allows up to 30,000 people monthly from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to legally enter and live and work in the U.S. for up to 2 to 4 years. Program beneficiaries, not the U.S. government must book and pay for their own travel. From January 2023 to August 2023, more than 161,000 beneficiaries entered the U.S. at Florida airports. However, it's unclear how many people settled in Florida. So this is in response to Rick Scott saying that he flew them all into Florida. This is the actual facts. I think you believe you're yourself. I am myself. I have never been anybody but me, even when I tried to be someone else. And the things you say, yes, of course I believe the things I say. Even though I don't believe some of the things you say. You don't have to believe everything I say. But that doesn't, whether you believe me or not, and whether I believe me or not, is totally irrelevant as to whether it's true. If the thing is true, you should believe it. Not because I said so. Not because I believe it, but because it's actually true. And this program, this parole program in these places was an actual real thing. They were not being flown in the dark of the night. That is not a thing. The idea that they had this plane, like they weren't even flying in on chartered planes, Gary. I don't know what you saw, but I think maybe you saw a plane come in and then you associated it with that. How do you know who was on the plane? That's why I'm asking you. How do you know who was on that plane? Like, what did you see? Did you see it were you waiting for another flight? How do you know it wasn't just a flight from Guatemala or something? Like, what makes you think that was some sort of chartered flight that had illegals on it? American anthropologist. Those who know the races realize the average white man is stronger of limb, fleeter of foot, clearer of eye, and far more enduring of body under stress of labor. Oh, interesting. That doesn't sound at all racist. Snark, snark. I didn't call you liars, and I didn't call you a liar or stupid. I'm not saying any of that. See, Gary, you need to learn to take constructive criticism. All I'm saying is that I don't think that you saw this plane that you saw. I think maybe you have a misconception of what you saw. I think you're highly intelligent, although misguided. Does that make me stupid? I didn't say either of those things. I don't know if you're saying that. All I'm saying, Gary, step back. All I am saying is one thing. Joe Biden did not fly illegal aliens in the dark of the night. That just didn't happen. I know that you say that you saw it happen. I agree you saw something. I'm saying I think you don't understand what you saw. I think you have some misunderstanding of what you saw. Okay, well, we've got that fixed. Okay. There are 5,000 planes in flight over the U.S. at any time. This guy is talking about one plane. Come back when you've seen 2,000 of them. Yeah, I really don't understand what you like. I agree you saw something. I'm not saying you're making it up. I'm just saying that maybe you connected dots based on what you had heard, and your connection of those dots is mistaken. You sound like an extra from the movie Deliverance talking like that. That was a good movie. Okay, well, I don't even know how long have I been going today? An hour and 7 minutes. That's not bad. I did not call you stupid or refer to you as a liar. Anyway, I've explained that enough time. I've asked you exactly what you saw, and you have yet to explain to me exactly what you saw. What did you see, Gary? Instead of being defensive, tell me what you actually saw. Okay. Did Dirty leave? Oh. Maybe Dirty got a feelings boo-boo and left. He was here so long, too. Boy, he was committed. Oh, this is interesting. All right. I'm getting better at this. I went up from yesterday. People want to know, what did you see, Gary? What did you see? What did you actually see? So Jesse Waters says, the invasion of Panama, 23 soldiers killed. Now we have 13 American dead. We actually had more people died in training exercises last year. I remember when he said the exact same thing, that it was only 13 people who died in the Afghanistan withdrawal. Interesting how the number 13 is the same with both. But one was like the end of the world and the other is like, so what? Okay, so you don't go agree with me. It's okay, let's go on to something else. What did you see, Gary? It's not that I don't agree with you or whether I agree with you or not. I'm asking you. I'm asking you what you actually saw. What did you see? You seem like to be insistent that you saw it, but you're not very accommodating in telling exactly what you saw. How did you know that they were illegal aliens being smuggled in by Joe Biden? You insist that you saw it, and that I'm like accusing you of lying if I don't believe you. But I'm asking you what you saw. There are people on here that have come on here that have been stupid, Gary. When people keep saying stupid stuff, easy to conclude that they're stupid. Tucker Carlson was raised in La Jolla. La Jolla? Do you say it La Jolla? Or is it La Hala? Hala. About 10 minutes away from Ashley Babbitt's house in Point Loma, Pacific Beach area, where the homes cost $2 million. They don't like moneyless MAGA. Doesn't every house in Southern California cost $2 million? No, I'm just kidding. But it seems like it. It seems like, man. I've had of course I bought it in 2010. But I bought my house. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it's got 4 bedrooms, and then it had like this sort of weird room. What happened is that it used to have an enclosed porch, and then they enclosed it even more. So there was this one room that had a cement floor. And so what I did with that is I turned it into an office, like a man cave office type thing. And so I've got like 4 bedrooms, an office, and 3 full bathrooms with both the toilet and the shower and the bath and all of that. And I've got 1/3 of an acre, and I paid $75,000 for that house 13 years ago. And we're not in, we're not in a super ritzy neighborhood or anything, but I'm out in the country a little bit. I'm in rural Texas, inside a city, in the city of Elgin. But yeah, I have a horse that lives next door to me. But anyway, I think that a house that meets and I think it's around 2,000 square feet. I'm not quite sure. Anyway. But it's a ranch house and no basement. That's the median price of a home in Point Loma, a 900 square foot. Wow. That is like insane. Like I can't even imagine a house price like that, home prices like that. Like 900, you have to be making, how much do you even have to make to pay that mortgage on a $900,000 house? Like you have to be like well into 6 figures, right? So, for $1 million home, you need to be making at least $250K a year. So 900,000, you figure, and that you figure it's got to be close to that. America has an anti-intellectual crisis problem. Deal with that. Just forget anything I've said today. Gary. You do so, but you know that the thing about the whole thing, Gary. This is what I think is ironic about it is people say, "Well, why don't you vet them before they come over here?" And they, why are we paying for them? So Joe Biden bends over backwards to do exactly everything that they asked him to do. He made sure they were vetted before they came over here. He made sure that they paid for their own flights. He made sure that they had a sponsor so that when they got over here, they weren't being paid for by the government. They weren't being paid for by the government. All the things that all the conservatives were saying that needed to be done, he did. They made their asylum case before they even left the soil. They paid for their own planes. They stayed with somebody else that they knew here. They had sponsors. And all the Republicans did is turned around and lied about it. They didn't say, okay, we asked and he gave. Why can't you give Joe Biden credit for that? Why can't you give him credit for doing what they asked him to do? Instead of, jumping on this debunked criticism, this debunked fake stuff about how he was smuggling illegals in the dead of night on these airplanes. That's why, like Freddie Friendzone says, America has an intellectual crisis problem. That's what we mean. Like, here's the difference. And you say I shouldn't be calling people stupid or whatever. To me, stupid is a choice. It's not a capacity. I will never bother somebody because they don't have the brain power to understand a situation. Some of the smartest people I know are stupid. Because to me, stupid is when everything is there and you just arbitrarily reject it because you don't want to agree with it. All right? When a smart person learning will take information that proves them wrong and they will change what they believe based on what they have learned. A stupid person will choose what they learn based on what they believe. Something comes along that contradicts what they believe, and they will just say it's fake. They will accuse it of being a lie. It's always the opposite. All right, so when I use the word stupid, I'm using the word stupid as a choice. Like, you can either accept new information and learn from it, or you can reject new information and be stupid. I have a ranch house with no basements. So, hey, there we go. We got something in common, Gary. Is there another place where you can get comments? I don't see the intellectual crisis comment. They should be all in. Are you, which feed are you on? I don't know. Hang on. Let me see. Do you see Friendzone's comments? Didn't get the. Don't see. Which feed are you on, Winter? It might be. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. Oh, okay. You see, yeah. So I don't know what's going on there. It might be. It might even be a YouTube problem. It looks like a weird day anyway. I've got like my views for this episode are down like significantly. They're about like 5-10% of what they typically are. So I think it might be a YouTube problem. Let me see something here. That is very like, but if it is what it is. But anyway, yeah, I feel like stupid is a choice, not just a happenstance. Hey, Rainbow. How's it going? Good to see you, buddy. How are things going today? Yeah, so I found only this one, big screen one. So the good news is, Winter, that now if you're, I think the way it will work from now on is if you're on your laptop or something, then you'll see the big one. And if you're on your phone, you'll see the vertical one. But either way, you should be able to see most or all of the comments. So you are neither late nor early. You are in betweenish. I started about an hour and 20 minutes ago. But I started late. I've been trying to figure out how to switch the way I do this. I used to use StreamYard, and now I'm trying to use OBS because it saves $83 a month. But right now I'm only broadcasting to YouTube. which tomorrow I'm going to try and broadcast to Twitter too, but I've got to use a different computer that has more horsepower than this one and all that stuff. You're on the phone with the horizontal one. Well, that's interesting. I have no idea how that happened. Huh. Oh well. As long as you can see most of the comments. I don't know what's going on that you can't see them all. I'll hopefully get this figured out better later. So, anybody want to talk about anything else? Today, I'm still got to figure out how to set up slideshows and stuff on this thing. I'm on a phone with packet relay and Bublon logic is highly complex. Somehow, I have a feeling MAGA would argue with that too. They would be like, why are you hating on Boolean? They'd probably think Boolean logic is saying Boolean logic is some sort of shot at Lauren Boebert. But they probably would, unless they, I don't know. If you told them that it was a liberal thing, they would. Anyway. So I don't know if Friend Zone and Winter, or in Rainbow, if you two have been on here at the same time before, but and Winter now. Winter's been on here a few times too. I find it both horrifying and funny that the U.S. and Iran are listing their war demands on Twitter. Like, when did it come to this? That is both horrifying and funny. But is Donald Trump responding on Twitter or social media, or on his Truth Social? Truth Social. Like, if there's ever been a more poorly named thing. Truth Social is neither truth nor social. So Trump wants, there's a headline on right now, Trump wants to target GOP to target judges he calls criminals. So apparently that's one thing. Any judge that rules against him is like biased and criminal or whatever. Dealing with MAGA is analogous to attempting to talk about basketball with people that get all their ideas from PlayStation. So I used to, for a good 10, 12 years, I made a living as an NBA writer. And, like I wrote with Bleacher Report, and I wrote some stuff for Dime Magazine, and there was a Fan Rag was around, wrote some stuff for Sports Nation and all of that kind of stuff. And my entire life was devoted to basketball. Pretty much all day long I would watch plays and review things and kind of break down film, write articles, and then during the evening I would watch basketball, but I wouldn't watch basketball like a normal person watches basketball. I'd watch basketball where I'd rewind and watch plays again to see exactly what happened, or why was this person out of position on defense or whatever, to really try and understand the game. And the worst times for being an NBA writer were right before the All-Star break and right after the draft, because those are the big trade seasons, right? And I'd get like just hundreds of people DMing me on Twitter or leaving comments on articles I wrote or whatever. They'd want to know what I thought of this fake trade. And fake trade season was just so annoying. And ESPN came out with this trade machine to where you could put the names in and it would just see if it worked with the salary cap rules. And so there would just be these trades where it's like the worst fantasy football trades of all time, you know. I'll give you, okay, so Chicago sends 7 of their worst players to Cleveland or to Miami for LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, you know, and it works with the money. And you're just like, this is never going to happen. It's not even smart enough to be called stupid. It's just never going to happen. Why do I need to spend half my life, you know, or half an hour breaking down this trade for you that is just so stupid that it's never going to happen? I hated fake trade season. Anyway, a lot of dealing with MAGA stuff is like that. It's not even close enough to reality to even have a debate about. They're like, oh, well, what about this? And it's just like, it's stupid. That's what about it. I think Gary got mad and left. The airport TSA situation is absolutely insane too. Yes, it is. And it's got to be annoying if you are TSA and ICE agents are there getting paid to do your job badly while you're not getting paid to do it well. And they're the reason that you are not getting paid. I think that we need to like keep sight of the ball here. The reason that everything is being shut down is really simple. Democrats want ICE agents to follow the Constitution. Like, I know that part of it is the no masks, which I think is 100% valid position. But maybe the main thing to me is the Fourth Amendment. All we're at, I think if they could just get the ICE agents to just agree to follow the Fourth Amendment, to actually like abide by the Constitution and like get judicial warrants before they break into your house, that would be swell. I think that would be enough. And you know, the no more masks would be great. I think that there are people that are literally mimicking ICE agents. Like, this is a real thing. A real thing where people pretend to be ICE agents and then they go and they grab somebody and they throw them into a car. And nobody knows anything because they're just another gaggle of people with masks on throwing some stranger in a car. And they don't want to be arrested and detained, so they just watch it happen. But they, you know, like criminals have been doing this, and they've taken people, they've beaten people, they've robbed people, they've raped people. So, yeah, there's a very real reason to be concerned about people accosting people on the street without masks. Because you don't know who they are. Absolutely, ICE agents should identify themselves. That's not an unreasonable demand. But it's not as not unreasonable as just asking them to follow the Constitution, to just get a judicial warrant before they enter your house. Like, I don't understand how anybody can take the opposite side of that. And they'll say things like, oh, well, that's only illegals. Well, okay, they took out, first of all, it's not only illegals, according to Supreme Court histories. But even if it were, they were taking out illegals, or they were taking out American citizens into the middle of the winter in their underwear without a warrant. And then they're just like, well, mistakes happen. And it's exactly That's why you need a warrant. To prevent mistakes. Roy Cohn is responsible for it. And he died was when data was transferred, when ISDN connections were still a thing. I don't you're over my head right now, Freddie. I don't know what any of that means. Our friend zone. I don't know what any of that means. Interesting. I played in college for the man that was responsible for the LA Drill League, Caldwell Black. High school, Ron Leonsky, Wilt's teammate. Oh. Lunsky. And Chuck Boucher. Chuck, Sean Livingston's high school basketball coach. So here's a fun fact for you, friend zone. I think you'll appreciate this. I tweeted out, this is the only big, beautiful bill that I care about. And I posted a picture of Bill Russell and his daughter. Replied to me how much she appreciated that. So anyway, yeah, now Bill Russell's daughter is a co-follower on Twitter. And Bill Russell, by the way, is like one of the great men of my lifetime and yours. Like, Bill Russell was more than just a great basketball player. He's a great person. They talk about the war like I discussed fictional TV shows, animated, but it doesn't really matter. You should use the AI to build an app that answers those questions. Answers what? Oh, I watched your podcast at my uncle's house with him yesterday. He enjoyed it. I'm headed back there now. Well, that's cool. He must be smart. The ISDF reference was regarding the back and forth between Iran and the USA. Oh, fun fact about Bill Russell. He and Johnny Mathis were good friends in high school. Oh, that's cool. I did not know that. Huh. What did he say? What was his? Interesting. My mom went to high school with Terry Bradshaw. They were in the same high school. They were in the same class. They graduated in the same year. And he dated her best friend. I used to always tell her, Aunt Janice, why didn't you get married to Terry Bradshaw? She was like, I didn't love him. I was like, but I'd have free tickets to the Super Bowl. Because, of course, that was the important thing to Aunt Janice. All right. So I think today is such a weird day. Bill Russell said that when his grandfather met Tom Hennessy at an All-Star game, it was the first time a white male called him anything besides a boy. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I think we lose sight of how recently, like the kind of racism that existed in a lot of our lifetime, or in our parents' lifetime. Like, it wasn't that long ago. We act like this was hundreds of years ago or something like that. And it's like, no. There were people around right now that aren't even that old that couldn't use the right water faucets. I was born in 60. I guess you were probably born around 67 too. So segregation didn't exist when I grew up in um, Louisiana, but it may as well have. I so like I had between kindergarten and ninth grade, there was I had I think one black classmate in the third grade, and that was when I went to school on an Air Force base. And anyway, had one black classmate between kindergarten to ninth grade, and then I went to, my dad was a diplomat. He got assigned to Liberia, and in Liberia, everything changed. There was like, it was actually really amazing because we went to this ACS, American Cooperative School in Liberia, and there were like 32 nationalities in just our high school, and there was only like 112 people in the high school or something like that. It was almost all, like, there were definitely more non-Americans than Americans, and all kinds of different, races and religions and backgrounds and cultures. And it was amazing. It like was really, really an eye-opening experience for me to just get to know other people. And so anyway, so I think I'm going to end here. There doesn't seem to be much going on today. I'm glad I figured out the one situation with getting able to stream to both feeds at the same time. I think tomorrow I should clear up another thing and maybe be able to get Twitter back on here. But anyway, and hopefully I'll also figure out how to put slideshows in so that I can talk about something. Those folks have no idea the history of Liberia. Oddly, those former slaves treated Africans badly when they got there. Yeah, that's really... I wrote a paper about this when I was in college because I thought it was so interesting, because I really started to think about this. This was, so as since you're assuming you're right, Liberia was it was at the time, it was, for a long time, it was the only privately owned country in the world. It was owned by the American Colonization Society. And it was the whole, send them back to Africa type thing. They sent freed slaves back to Africa. When those freed slaves got to Africa, they only knew one kind of economy. Like, they weren't the same ones that had been captured and brought over. These were their children and grandchildren. So when they got returned, they didn't know what to do. They, like, what were they supposed to do? It's like if you take, a domesticated cat and throw him in the jungle. He's not a lion. So they did the only thing they knew. They knew one kind of economy, and that was the slave economy. And so what they started to do is they started to make people that were in the local tribes indentured servants. And then they started, like, exporting these servants for like 3 years, 5 years. Want to say they helped build the Panama Canal. They helped build some other things because they had some immunity to malaria. But anyway, they that was one of Liberia's main sources of revenue for like 80 years before they finally abandoned the practice. Was indentured servitude. And so I was like, how could they do that? And then as I was thinking about it, it kind of occurred to me, that's the only kind of economy they knew. That's the world they knew. That's the world they grew up in. And it's just now, instead of the slaves, they were the slave masters. So anyway, it was interesting. Then they were called the American Liberians, were like the dominant class until 1980, I think, and that's when there was a coup. Samuel Kenyon Doe he threw a coup. Actually, he was an enlisted guy that stole the plans from some officers that had planned one. But then he executed the government out on the beach and filmed it on live, broadcast it on live TV. So he was not exactly a good person. And then he did some genocide on a different tribe. And then later on, that tribe couped him and executed him, and then they genocided his tribe, and there was back and forth, and for like 20 years there was this civil war going on in Liberia. It was the most violent country in the world. For like a decade, they basically didn't have any power or running water. It was, but I was there. I say I was there between coups. I was there in 83, 84. The first coup was 80. The second coup was right around 86. And then while I was there was a guy named Edward J. Perkins, who was the deputy chief of missions. And he was like really, really impressive dude. Big, huge black guy. He was like 6'4", 6'5", I think. Had massive hands. You'd shake his hand and it's like your hand disappeared in it. He was a super nice guy, one of the smartest people I've ever known. And he could just sit down and he could just talk to you about anything. I wanted to talk about sports, he'd talk about sports. Somebody wanted to talk about classical music, he could talk about classical music just as easily as he could talk about basketball. And politics, history, science, whatever. He's just very, very knowledgeable man. And so then in 80, I want to say 88, 89, something like that. During, like, at the end of apartheid, the United States wanted to make a statement about our apartheid. So they named Edward Perkins to be the ambassador to South Africa, which, he's a black guy, the U.S. ambassador in South Africa. So that's making a pretty strong statement. But he went over there and he was not allowed to use like the white hotels and stuff like that, which was actually quite humiliating to South Africa. And it's one of the reasons that South Africa ended up getting rid of apartheid. Not the main reason, but one of the reasons. So anyway, he was an interesting guy too. Yeah, and retired NBA player and coach of the Golden State Warriors, Stephen Kerr. His father was killed in the Mideast while working as a professor. He was, so the school I went to, ACS, all these different schools had these, like all the embassies, and all these places where there were embassies, there would be an ACS or something like it. These schools where the children of diplomats and certain wealthy people would have this like private school. And so there was a ACS type thing in Beirut, and that's where Steve Kerr's dad was. And Steve Kerr is actually, I think he's a year older than me. Or how old is Steve Kerr? He's 60. So he's 3 years older than me. So we were in high school at the same time. That's the important thing. Because some of the people in my school were had gone to school with Steve Kerr in Beirut, and so or knew him from Beirut. I don't think he actually went to school there, but was like visiting his dad or something, and so they knew him and met him, and they were friends with Steve Kerr. So when Steve Kerr's dad was killed, they were all freaking out about it. And so They were like, oh yeah, Steve Kerr, he's going to be really good. He's in Arizona. He's going to be going to school at Arizona or Arizona State. I forget which one it was, but that's how I first heard about Steve Kerr, was from his dad getting shot. Not, oh, Steve Kerr's dad was shot? No, I learned about him because his dad was shot. So anyway, cool story. Not so cool if you're Steve Kerr. But that also, when you hear Steve Kerr mention things about the war with Iran or whatever, understand that that's a man that has real reason to have thoughts on it. So much history I didn't know of. Do I want to? And also, how would that happen that the 80s are already history? Happened a long time ago. It's you want to freak out a little bit. Friend Zone, I think you'll appreciate this. This occurred to me when you were when you know how when we were in like junior high, we'd come home and we'd watch reruns of Gilligan's Island or Hazel the Witch or whatever. Nowadays, if people see reruns of Friends, Friends is older now to kids now than Gilligan's Island was to us then. So it doesn't. How's that for a crazy thing? Friends was like 20 years ago. Knowing history contextualizes contemporary experiences and gives understandings of how things came to be. Yeah. We should all know at least some history. And that's why I always joke, like, even today's title is Donald Trump, the greatest president ever. Because it's just the whole, like, what does that even mean? Like, when they say stuff like that, like, where is your sense of history? Where in what context is he the greatest president ever? Like, what has he done? Compare it to, like, what Eisenhower did, or Truman, or Martin Van Buren. You know, it's like, if you're going to make this qualitative statement comparative to everything else, every other president in history, please tell me what all of their accomplishments were that you're comparing them to. Coach Pop knows more about the Soviets than Donald Trump will ever know. He worked in counterintelligence for the USA and the Eastern Bloc. I think you'll appreciate this. I have a friend named Mo that used to be from back in my basketball writing days. That he was video. So he broke down the video and stuff. So he for the Spurs, and Pop would have the team over to his house like once a year at least for this big dinner thing, right? And so he'd been over to Pop's house a few times, and in his office, Greg Popovich has this office that is like a desk in the middle of the room, and then all four walls are just ceiling to floor or floor to ceiling shelves, and every shelf is just packed full of books. And he's like read all of them. Like Mo is looking around, like all the spines were cracked. None of them were like just brand new books or anything. Greg Popovich is a smart dude. I need to be in the right mindset to stomach some of it. I'm 6'4", 260-pound black man. I don't recognize Halloween. Any day can be October 31st for me. Whoa. I'm a 5'8", 158-pound white man. I'm not a threat to anybody. And nobody sees me as a threat. You're a big dude, friend zone. You're a big dude. I bet you get told you're articulate a lot. Like, because you're obviously a very intelligent man, and I know that a lot of people will like be surprised when they find out that large black men can be intelligent people too. Also crazy, when I was born, it was only 25 years ago, my Nazi grandparents had fled the Russians. Whoa. 25 years ago. Hey, Harry! How's it going? It was nary a Harry here until very now. How's it going? Your buddy Gary was here. I say that. I say that jokingly. Gary, I think Gary got mad and left because I didn't believe he said some. I don't think he actually saw a plane full of illegals smuggled in by Joe Biden. Yeah, good old bloody hell, Gary. But sadly, I was just wrapping up there, Harry. So, any Hoosers, I think we're gonna end here. It's been a very weird and slow day. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. We'll keep going. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have stuff figured out better. I know, and you were just here. There are Holocaust deniers I used to get that you don't talk like. Oh, you don't talk like a black guy. Then I code switched. I also I don't even think that like like I told you, I had one black schoolmate until 9th grade. And the black classmates I had in my high school, it was like this, like I told you, this really, really good high school and stuff. So like they always talked in their white voice to me and stuff. And then one day I was hanging out with like 3 of them after school, and they did the code switch thing, and I was just like, whoa. What happened? What is this? And they were laughing at me because I was the naive little white dude. I'm going to attempt to leave some basketball stuff in your community. I don't know what in this community or my physical community. I don't know what you mean. Anywho, I might have to have a show dedicated. I haven't. We were just talking about random stuff, but anyway. It's been a weird day. Hopefully tomorrow will be less weird. But I'll talk to you guys again. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.